Hello everyone, and thanks for joining this evening. We're going to be looking at the Astrocast site again tonight. The last thing that we were working on was a progress model to make sure that we could update progress on specific users on viewing a video. So this would be in the case of checking out, say, this particular session, being able to track how much you've watched. This, of course, relies on a user being logged in, being able to report that information. Likewise, I wanted to be able to have the page show up and actually start from where you left off. So this was really awesome right up until I went in to update the Astrocast video web component. And at that point, things really started to fall apart, mostly because of the Shadow DOM stuff. So the things I think I'm going to focus on tonight are revisit those components. So far we have Astrocast Countdown and we have Astrocast Video. It's entirely possible that I misunderstood how to build these web components, and the Shadow DOM isn't actually required, especially since we are putting content in initially. So this is just to show how we're working on these right now. Let's go back to the Astrocast project, and let's look at live sessions. So here's an example of using. Oh, it's not on there. I guess it's on schedule. There we go. So next session, Astrocast Countdown. We give it some attributes that contain information that are important to it. And then we also, I don't know why that's not letting me scroll more. I wonder if it's confused. Actually, I have no idea what's wrong there. Oh, well, now let me go. Okay, so this is actually the default information that we show is the next event time diff. And if we go to schedule, let's see. That's why we need to load the local data. So bin console app calendar. Wrong app. There we go. Get calendar. Now on the schedule page, we should see next thing starts when. So it says 3 minutes ago initially, and then it switches over to any second now. The any second now actually comes from the web component itself. It's able to pick that up. If we look here, when the countdown is ended to the next episode, it says any second now. So in the case of this web component, we start out with this information, and we should be able to write data into it. And this data structure is small enough, it's essentially just a text field that I think we might be able to get away with not actually using a Shadow DOM here. Likewise, if we look at a specific session, we'll see that we're using the Astrocast video web component, and the contents of this is just an iframe. And this is the same thing we're doing on the home page as well for well, next session also, but also here. So we're using this for the twig player. The big problems that we ran into with this so far is that when this information is copied into the Shadow DOM, it, for all intents and purposes, leaves the original DOM. And this has been causing issues for lots of different reasons. Mostly any JavaScript that gets attached to here. If it is attached to here before the Astrocast video copies it into the DOM, then there's a chance that depending on how you did it, the JavaScript wouldn't actually work anymore. Likewise, if you attached something to the original DOM after the web component copied this into the DOM, it would attach it to the outside, or the regular DOM's instance, and what was actually being shown would be the one on the inside. So it wouldn't have the correct JavaScript on it, because you can't target elements within the Shadow DOM. So I think what we're going to do is probably go with Astrocast video first. So let's see what we can do with that. It's video.js. I'm going to be able to use that on an individual episode here. So let's look at this first episode. I think, let's see here. So let's not do anything with the shadow. So we won't do anything with this shadow root. Watch, return. I don't know what the startup. This is the kind of stuff that we probably didn't need to do at all. So this is looking for that. Station observer, find anytime an iframe changed its width, we were going to do something different. Then we were going to resize. Ugh, this was just a pain. So this was all related to the stuff on the home page. So I'm going to not do this. Document query selector watch. So let's get rid of start watching entirely, because this is just nonsense as far as I'm concerned. Sync shadow root, just the fact that that is a thing makes me think we don't need this. What it was doing was getting the shadow root. It was then getting the first child, essentially cleaning, I guess, the shadow root itself, and then copying or cloning. We were cloning the elements from the actual element into the shadow DOM, our shadow DOM. And again, I don't think we need this anymore. The setup resize might be the only thing we actually need to do. So I'm going to remove that entirely. We aren't going to sync shadow root. We aren't going to attach shadow root. We're just going to set up resize. We don't need the shadow. I think we can just do this. Maybe. Connected callback. So as soon as it actually gets connected, so we're adding a window event listener for resize. So anytime that the window resizes, it will generate a new, it'll generate a new width for the video element. So here, if I go down, that's because of the on resize event, that this is resizing correctly and maintaining aspect ratio. So that wouldn't be doing that otherwise. So we still want to do that. As soon as it's connected, we should do another pass of resizing. So let's do shadow is just going to be this with shadow. That's other nonsense that I needed to do to make this work. All right, so setup resize. It's going to get the width and height from the iframe within itself. At least I think that's the way that should work. Okay, let's see if we can reload this page and hopefully it just works as is. I think I need to be watching the assets though. And just while we're debugging here, I'll do console. Width, height. Something's broken here. Oh, Good old tab complete. Console.log. There we go. 1 second here. Make sure I have tags set. There we go. I love how Twitch requires you to update those every time you do anything. Video.shadow is not a function. All right, yeah, I'll accept that. I believe that's in here with shadow. Don't want you to do anything with the shadow. And with any luck, we won't have to do anything at all with it. Astrocast video. There we go. So we just hide that stuff for now. So with this 920, and if I resize, everything is still resizing correctly. Let's go back in here. Connected callback resize. Sweet. All right. So I think we just made this extremely flexible and a lot easier than that nonsense with the shadow DOM. So the next thing that we'll test then is to see if this stuff becomes easier. What we needed to do originally was to get the iframe. And we can actually get it from Astrocast video's iframe. It might actually be nice in case there happens to be another iframe on the page, and then we get a player from that iframe. And then we want to do player on progress. Yeah, this was something that we were doing that's kind of weird as well. So we had to do some stuff to handle something correctly if we were doing progress, if we were playing or not. So there we go. We set some weird 5-second timeout to make sure that once play starts happening, we don't actually want it to be marked as is playing until 5 seconds later. Otherwise, it was recording progress. As soon as it looked like it was dealing with buffering almost, that as long as it was buffering, it was actually giving us it was giving us some progress data. So that's not what we really wanted. So I'm going to delete all of this and that. All right, so we get the iframe. We create a Vimeo player out of it. We set playing as null, is playing as false. I need to have better names for this. Playing timeout. There we go. All right, so we set a playing timeout to null. We say by default it's not playing. Player on progress, if it is playing, if it's not playing, then we don't do anything. Otherwise, we're going to log progress data. When we actually start playing, if there's an existing playing timeout, we clear it. And then we set a timer for 5 seconds so that it will actually start is playing if it hasn't been paused or press play again since then. And then if it's ever paused, we'll clear any of the playing timeout stuff and then mark is playing to false. So in theory, if I load this, we shouldn't see anything except for this stuff. And then if I press play, if I drop out of here, if I press play, it should actually start playing. All right. So what we're going to do tonight is take a look. All right, so this seems to be working. So I'm pretty happy about that. I don't know why. Okay, so it is doing progress after a period of time, so that looks to be good. All right, so I'm going to pause this now, and we should not see any progress for a while. The other thing that I just deleted, which I'm going to do something somewhat dangerous, I'm going to copy this bit. Because I want that again so that I can kind of play with that a bit. All right, so we have a player. Not going to worry about this line. Not going to worry about this line. What this does is it's going to set the current time. So I'm going to set the current time manually to 300 seconds, just to make sure that this works. And that will also help with this progress stuff. So I'm going to say console.log progress, but we are not playing, ignoring. Wow, typing not so good. All right, so what we should see is at least one instance of that saying that it's playing. So it'll say progress, but we are not playing, so it's actually ignoring some of these. We can see that it actually jumped ahead in time to 5 minutes, which is what we would have expected. And even though it didn't actually play anything, we can see that we actually got progress indicators here. So this is why we had to implement this weirdness. So I wish we didn't have to, but I don't know if there's any choice in that. And then as soon as we click play, we'll start receiving proper progress after 5 seconds. So it's still going to not show up as if we've actually done anything, but now it is. Now it's showing that we're getting proper progress. And I don't know why, if these are the same progress, it looks like sometimes we get them with the same information multiple times, and I'm not sure why that is. So 5.3, like for example, I don't know why we got 2 progress there. But there's not a whole lot I can do about that at this point. It could be an indication that there's a problem somewhere, but I'm thinking more than likely it's maybe just an oddity in the way that this is actually happening here. So I'm satisfied with how this works. I'm going to have to go back to the home page to make sure that it isn't doing something weird as well. Where's the JavaScript for this? All right, add class, remove class, options, players, new Twitch player. I might not have to do anything here. This might just work. So I'm just going to go to the home page, should load the Twitch player. Yeah. And it starts playing by default. So that seems to be working fine. If I resize, it's resizing the window as it expects. So I think this is all good. Okay, I think I'm going to call this good, that we are happily not dealing with that anymore. And if we look at the diff now, let's see, assets. It's mostly just removing stuff. which makes me happy. So let's go ahead and remove the console logs. Cool. Yeah, so if we look at that, it becomes even more red and very little green. So resize. Okay. All right. Very cool. I almost think this doesn't have to be done until connected callback. But I'm not going to change it, so set up resize. Yeah, I'm not going to change this just for the sake of changing something. Okay, so let's go take a look at the other one now. So we have Astrocasts countdown. Here we go. So this we'd actually bundled Axios and Moment. Zero pad countdown. All right, so shadow text content. Yeah, see, I mean, just right off, I'm just copying the code, or copying it right into it. And we just don't need that. Almost positive we don't need that. All right, let's do shadow, all the places where we did that. Show ended, shadow text content. All right, well, this one didn't have as much stuff changed, so it's questionable as to whether or not this was required. Yeah, it doesn't look like this is doing anything different. I think the only thing here might be that we could target this text now directly rather than looking in shadow. I don't see, I don't see any downsides to this, honestly. Doesn't mean that there aren't any, but I'm just gonna call it good. New file, fix default schema listener. Cool. All right. Cool. All right, so we'll call that good for now, I think. All right, so update web components to not use shadow DOM or shadow root. So this would have saved probably 30 to 60 minutes on Tuesday. on the previous session, not to mention the first time we tried to get the homepage to work. So I think this will be a win overall. So the next thing I want to do also is look at securing the API. So right now, there is a default API exposed just by merely having the API bundle installed, or the API platform bundle installed. Where the problem is here is that this also has post endpoints. And it's probably not the safest thing because it's got very powerful post tools built in where someone could just create a new project right now. If anybody does that, I will be very unhappy with you, but this isn't even secured. So there's a small chance that people might be trying to mess with me right now. Hopefully they won't. But hopefully by the end of this session, I can actually have this secured in some meaningful way. So where we're going to be spending some time would be in the API platform queue. Right now it's just got some mappings. There's nothing else going on. So API platform security. All right, so it's going to probably be some high-level things that we can do. For right now, I think it makes sense for people to be able to get everything as an anonymous user. I think that it would make sense to only allow admins to be able to do post. So so I think I'm going to try that. Let's go and look and see what we have. So we have episodes. No, we have video, API resource. It's completely wide open. Actually, is there a way to do, you can leverage all the security features, strict access to some endpoints, you can access control. Disabling operations. So let's go in resources.yaml. Which I don't know if we've been in that file yet. Config. Let's see, where is it? Okay, so let's see, config API platform resources.yaml. I wonder if it just automatically detects that file if it exists. Config. This doesn't seem right to me for some reason. File. Let's just see if this gives me an error. So it doesn't give me an error. I'm thinking something's wrong because it shouldn't be able to detect these. Configuration. Collection. Paths, resource class traces. So config packages API platform. Okay, well, let's switch this to something different. Let's do app entity video. So maybe it is actually doing something reasonable here. No, it still shows. All right, so I guess I can't control this in this way, which I guess I'm fine with. At least not without figuring out how to do it. Let's go back to video. All right, so collection operations, get post is granted role admin, and I'm not going to do item off. I think I'll just allow get. And this is on video. Okay, so get is allowed if I go in as a anonymous user. Oh, post is here. All right, error, response body, session string given. Hey, Joe, how's it going? I don't know why session shouldn't have been listed at all anyway. All right, can't parse JSON, raw file. Okay, so this is response headers 200. So it allowed it. Yeah, I think this is doing a redirect, which kind of annoys me. Let's check this out to be sure. Apparently wasn't the right password. Still not the right password. There we go. Did it create a video with the name string? Oh, it didn't make it, which I think is good, but still, I don't know why it didn't give me an error here. $200 video resource created, string. Title is foo. Code undocumented. All right. Yes, this request redirects to login. Okay. So why is it giving me headers? No. remember how to get just the auth headers. I thought -I did it, but list only, no. That's what I was doing. It says I can't. Oh, that's why. All right, so gives me a link, shows me HTML. So this right here is, this is exactly why this nice little redirect debug option is kind of a pain. Where is it at? Config packages, dev, web profiler. Yeah, I like intercept redirects unless you're dealing with the API, and then it seems to get me every time. So what did it give me? Response. Did it still give me this? How are you doing tonight, Joe? Yeah, so it is giving me a redirect. And it is, but it's giving me a 302. This doesn't seem like the way this should work. I wonder if this is coming specifically because I'm sending a do I have an accept type? Yeah, I'm sending accept type of JSON, content type of JSON. This really doesn't seem right to me at all that it's giving me a 302 error. I would guess. Nice. Whiskey and WoW or StarCraft 2. Assume that's what SE2 is. Unless I'm reading this wrong, it really seems like we should be getting something other than a 302 redirect here. API platform. Platform. Right. Well, I'm not return. So yeah, if you return a redirect, it'll be a 302. Totally agreed. That's what a 302 is. It should be doing a redirect if it means to. But the problem is that I'm accessing an HTTP endpoint that is a post, and the post shouldn't work because I've set access control to say, let's see here where that was, because I did. It said that post is requiring role admin. So you shouldn't be able to post a new video unless you're role admin. This just doesn't seem right to me. Security redirect. Me route, that one doesn't work against demo. Anyway, it doesn't let anybody post through the API, which is the point. So I'm gonna be happy with that. What I am gonna do though is double check to make sure I can still post through the API. Yeah, so Joe's saying is the 302 you're seeing because the request isn't auth and being redirected to a login. And yes, that is what's going on. So this is an anonymous user trying to make a post request. This is going to be a logged in user trying to make a post request. What I would be expecting as a consumer of an API is that if I make a request that has incorrect credentials, then let's see here, I would be expecting unauthorized if let's see, I don't remember if unauthorized means I should try again. I think forbidden means that server wishes to make it public. The reason it's been forbidden. If credentials were provided, then it should show you that you aren't allowed. The client should never automatically repeat the request with the same credentials. However, if I actually realize, hey, you know what, I'm actually an admin, I just didn't send my credentials, then I could make a request for this again. Request has not been applied, lacks a valid. So if I'm not logged in at all, I could also expect to get a 401. And then I would know that, hey, I'm just not allowed to do this as a non-logged in user. If I am a logged in user and I'm not allowed to make that request, then I could get a 403. This doesn't mean that my credentials are bad. It just means that these credentials aren't allowed to make this request. Anyway, that's what I would be expecting from an API. So let's see here. I'm going to remove session because it's not supposed to have a session, I don't think. Let's try post, try it out, execute. Error response body. So it's expecting session to have a value. No, I don't know where it's getting that from, because this session, actually I should probably figure out why it's asking for that. Session is a one-to-one. I don't need to pass a session there, so I'm not sure why it's listed. It's also not clear to me if it is actually required or not, but so let's try it without that. Vimeo ID 100, and here it actually created it. So this I'm fine with. So it's actually disallowing access to anyone who's not an admin. So I'm good with that. And here's what we just created. We created one called string, Vimeo ID 100. All right, cool. So that works. So I mainly want to make sure that I get to a state where I don't have a completely open API for all of my entities, because that's just not going to be good. So which other things am I blocking here? So if I go back to API, get post delete, I'm not allowing delete via the API. I'm fine with that. Sessions, I'm just going to copy this for the entities that we have now. So we have session and project that we need to look at. API resource and project. Cool. And we're good. Cool. So at least now the only people who can create something is me. At least at this point in time, I don't care if somebody through the API gets access to all of the data, because they're not going to get access to anything that they're not going to get access to anything that they aren't able to get from the public-facing website. That might not always be true, so eventually I might need to be more picky on this. But my initial thought that, hey, I can just publish this, it's not a big deal, there's an API, that's cool, nobody's going to do any harm with it. Yeah, I forgot that it had this interactive bit that would make it really easy to go ahead and just plug stuff onto the main website. So let's see here. Diff entity. Let's see if there's anything other than the API resources. There's not. Git add. And I might might just push this up while we're here. And yeah. All right. So securing the API, awesome. And part of the reason that I was thinking about this is because I'm thinking I might use the standard API just for the API to report the percentage. Because why not use it? It would probably make sense to do so, unless it becomes super complicated, and then I won't want to, and I'll just... I'm sorely tempted to just use simple controllers, which I've already done for the countdown. So if we go to the controller, where's the countdown controller? Calendar controller, API next calendar event, and API. Well, this actually is a proper event, or it's a proper view page, but I already have /API/next calendar event, and this is more than enough. This is more than what I would need, but let's see if there's some stuff for API platform, JavaScript. Getting started, validation. Wondering if they have like a npm package already. What's an extra release process? No. All right, FFOS user bundle integration. Demutualization context. I don't need to delete or update user resources. Which one user provider should was new created? All right, JDBA authentication. Ugh. JSON login check. No. So let's see here. What are my options? API project. Yeah, I'm not going to worry about this for right now. Let's go back to... I want to see what our progress looks like. So we have a video ID, a user ID. We do have we do have an ID. We don't know what that is, so we need to... I think I'm just going to make a custom endpoint for this, because I want this to go a little better. Real quick, I'm going to double check live sessions again. I want to double check what the data looks like when we actually play stuff here. So the other thing I was realizing is I think we need to have the progress data also give us the duration, not the duration, but the seconds. So this is number of seconds in. All right, so we're going to do something similar. progress. So we have percent. Let's do seconds. And for precision, it looks like they're doing 3 digits here. So scale 3 again. I think this precision might be wrong. I'm gonna switch this to 6 because what's apparent, the way that this works is it is, say, 99.99989. That is that would be fitting into precision 5 and scale 3. So I don't think we can actually support this. Assuming that's what they send for 100%. So I'm going to update that to 6 and hope that that is an easy migration for Doctrine to handle. Because I'm so awesome at math. Let's say the longest reasonable episode of Astrocast might be, say, 5 hours times 60 minutes times 60 seconds. So we're looking at 18,000. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus 3. So that would be precision 8 with scale 3. We'll just call that good, I guess. Get percent, set percent, getters and setters. There we go. Cool. So we got get seconds. All right. And we're going to do a diff bin console doctrine migration diff. And let's double check the migration to make sure it makes sense. And here we are. So progress. All right, so we're adding seconds. We're altering percent to be 6.3. Down is drop seconds and alter percent to 5.3. All right, so I think that's good. Let's go ahead and migrate. All right, that was safe as well. Okay. All right, so I'm going to create a new controller for our progress. All right, so I'm not actually going to keep this because that doesn't make sense. It's not important. All right, so controller name, I don't need that. We'll do port progress. Not even kind of close. Okay. Oh, that's actually it. Fitting controller, get user. Security context. Okay, there we go. Get user. So we can get the user and report progress. Let's do video ID. I don't remember if it's that easy. We'll see if it is. This progress repository. So find or create. Let's see where that's at. All right. We do get the entity manager. I wonder if we're supposed to access that. Oh well. All right, so report. We also need to get the percent and seconds. And there's probably, I know there's a ton of other ways to do this, but this is just going to be the fastest way to get this done for right now. So we'll do find one by user ID, user ID, video ID, video ID. If not progress. I have to actually set it as a user. Actually would have preferred not to do this, but whatever. This means that I might want to switch how I'm doing the other bit as well. So set to user, user. We need to use a param converter since we need the video anyway. So we'll do set percent, seconds, and then flush. All right, so progress controller. I guess we'll do video. We'll do video. I think that just works. Report. Video user, which we get from token storage. Get token, get user. And then we are looking at percent and seconds. So I need to figure out where we're going to get those from. I think we'll probably send them in with we'll send it with data request. I guess it's just get content. So the first thing we needed was percent, and the second was seconds. All right, so we asked the progress repository to report some stuff. Expected append user got object string. Yeah, I'm hoping for the best there. All right, so let's go see what we were doing with Axios before. See, we're on session. So on progress. So we want report progress, video. Oh no. Error. Variable video does not exist. There we go. Third time's the charm. All right, so let's look at the Axios call. So it's going to post to API reports video. It's going to use the logged in user. So that should all be good. Question is, will it actually do something? So it's doing progress, but doesn't appear to be doing anything else. All right, so user was reloaded from user provider. Select. And it's not doing anything. Which is fine. Player stats. All right, so it's not actually getting this far. So Axios probably doesn't exist at this point. So how was I using it before? I was in the video player. No, time. There we go. So require Axios. See what this does. I think I'm going to tune down the timeout here. All right, exception. Controller must return a response null given. Okay, I'll allow that. Let's see if it's putting stuff in progress, and it's not. Okay, so user reloaded, doctrine. Controller must return a response. Did you forget to return a statement somewhere in your controller? Select. I know what's wrong. So essentially that error is just because I'm not doing anything useful here. So I can return this JSON. True. Now let's do just echo the data back with the user ID in it. Array merge data, and then let's do and video. There we go. That should work. So this will at least give us some sort of response back, which is really the only thing it's complaining about. So we're going to merge data with this information. And then put both of these down there. Since that's still going, we should probably start seeing stuff. Yeah, so we're not getting errors anymore. If we go back to network, we can see that we're getting back the data that was passed in, along with the user ID and the video ID. So it's actually doing it. The problem is in our repository. So the repository isn't doing anything with this new progress that's created. So what we really need to do is persist this progress. So this is where we'll get the, actually it should just start working now. There we go. See, start transaction, update progress. And if we look here, the number of seconds is 516, the percent is 0, I guess that's 8.1%. Refresh, 522. Cool. So this is working, which is pretty awesome. All right, so as this is going through, some of the things that we could do is probably set some throttle or something up here, because we don't necessarily want to track this as often as people are sending them in, but maybe it won't really matter. Because what we'd seen is that they were sending these messages pretty quickly and sometimes with the same data. I guess it doesn't matter. The only thing that might matter is if my budget hardware running the software starts to not like this very well. But so be it. I'm fine with that. Cool. All right. So next bit, as we deal with this, would be doing something with this information. So on the actual session page, let's look in the session controller. What we need to do is send some additional information in. So right now we're sending in the live session. We're not doing anything else. We'd also want to send in progress. And we'll get that from this progress repository. We're going to create a new method for this. Implement method, no, structure. And we'll do progress is this get find, no, what do we do, report. Let's do find report. That's just not right, but find report, we'll use $session get video. And then we'll pass in the user, which is token interface, token storage interface. This is, I'm not sure what this is going to do for a non-logged in user. So this will be fun. Get token, get user. All right, so in here, we're going to need to get a new function. That is very similar to this one, except we're going to say user equals null, I think. Because I think non-logged in users aren't going to have a proper user token, but at the same time, we may not even get this far if get token and get user don't work right. So find report. I'm going to do the same thing we did here, just so we have consistent data. If there isn't a progress, we will create one progress. Set seconds 0. %0. And we'll just go from there. So session controller is going to get everything it needs. Session HTML. We're always going to have progress, so we don't have to do this if. It's no longer a conditional. But we can do if progress.seconds is greater than 0, so that we only do this in the cases that we actually have meaningful progress made. And if we can pause, and then we can do progress.seconds. So in theory, if I load this screen, I should come back close to 925 even. Ooh. Yeah, it should. So let's close that, open in a new window. And it didn't, so let's see what happened with that. Oh, okay, so there it worked. Why didn't it work the first time? So I'm going to go back to 4.12, play at 4.12, and in theory, if I reload the page, I should come back to closer to 4.12 or 4.18. Looks like I have to reload the page. This might be a cache thing. Oh. An expected token, right. So I think the interesting thing here is that it somehow has managed to forget who I am. Because it doesn't have progress. It's weird, it worked for a little while. Now I'm getting 500. Oh. Out of memory. Why would progress have progress? Find report. Oh. Okay. All right, so progress is actually a progress instance. So dot seconds. Well, now it works. There's something in here then that wasn't working. So it's 436. Do 500. All right. So I think this was more just a caching issue. So this is 2116. This time nothing. But there it did work. Huh. Well, it works. So I think I might just have to call it good. Let's try one more. 1376. All right, Well, where's it getting that information? Ah. So the only thing I need to try now is to log in with, or try to do the same thing, not logged in. Argument 2, pass defined report must be an instance of user or null. String given. Really? Which string is that? A non. Great. Useful string. Get user, serialize, erase. Wonder. Let's see here. Let's do get token is authenticated. If we do that, then we want to get user. Otherwise, no. Actually prefer this form better. Somehow I managed to completely lose the point. All right, so if they're authenticated, we still need to get this info. There we go. So we'll only try to find a report if the user is authenticated. All right, so they are authenticated. Checking for is authenticated fully alone will return false if the user is logged in using the remembering functionality. So 3 possibilities. All right, so security authorization checker. Let's find out which interface that is. So the problem here is this weird notion. The problem is this weird notion that Symfony has about the firewall levels. Essentially, is authenticated is always going to work if you're in a firewall that allows anonymous. So we need to get the auth checker and ask it. So auth check interface. So we ask it for some stuff. What do we pass it? We pass the token get user. Auth checker is granted. Oh, we don't actually need token storage interface there because, well, maybe we do. Let's see here. So we've got auth checker, and we need both. Okay, is granted, and then we want to look for is authenticated remembered. Using roles, role user. Actually, we could just do that probably, because I should have. So if the thing that's looking at the site is a user, then we will get the progress report for this video for this user. And let's see if this works. Yay! So now it doesn't do anything at all with setting the location. At least that's what I'm hoping. Player equals. Yeah, so we're still going to do the on progress thing because there might be other stuff we'll do there. Otherwise, we don't care. Cool. Let's make sure it still works with my user. Let's see here. So session 1, 2413. Something weird there. So let's see here. Let's go. So if user. Something about this that isn't working right. So we got an object, we got an iframe. It says it's setting the current time, but it's not actually setting the current time. Vimeo Player API. This reminds me of the problems we had 2 nights ago. Basics, reference, methods for playback controls, events, buffered, ended, player, loaded. Are we not getting loaded? Ah, it did load. I even named it right in here. Come on, Beau. All right, so. in here just because. I wonder if it's doing some weird throttling thing. Which would just be really annoying, if I'm honest. So it looks like it works sometimes, but not others. Sessions, bootstrapping, Tailwind. There, it worked. And I was actually okay with how that worked. Let's go to 46. Play it there. Okay, so I'm going to go back to live schedule. So right around 46:25. 46:45. Oh. $57.38. $57.38. That's annoying. So what I think is happening here is what I think is happening here is it's actually reporting the buffer time, which is something I sort of felt like. So 58:52. Yeah, it's ahead a bit. So when it's actually putting data here, it's like it's putting buffered data in place for some reason. So here is 3579, 3585, 3591, 3597, and then let's pause it there. So 3603. 3603 is 3603. 60 minutes and 5 seconds. Sorry, 60.05. Yeah, it's ahead. It's ahead. Vimeo progress off. How old is this? 2014. All right. Vimeo ready event. Play progress. Seconds time. Percent is video location. Percent location and report the reports. Array. We end up with an array. CL. Let's track a progress index of. Customize video player, resume video from last progress. This is play progress. Must be outdated. Video progress, seconds, difference. Video progress event, seconds wrong. So I can't figure out what's wrong here. This is annoying. Because as far as I can tell, it's not actually using the right values here. Let's see what happens if I get to the end. Because 45, 63, 47. So it looks like it's off. I mean, all right, pause it there at 18 seconds. It's already at 36. Why is it at 36? All right, so this makes sense because The earliest it started was right after it actually started playing. So progress, let's do play. So drag this back to 0. So it started playing, reported progress of 18 seconds. And then seconds of 24, and then 30. All right, so 43 seconds. 66. All right, off by 23 seconds. Time updates. well, we're coming up on the 10 o'clock time here, so this is pretty annoying because it's not super useful if you don't actually get the right values. I don't understand this at all, really. Progress should be relatively accurate, I would guess. It's not playing. Yeah, Joe says it's really odd too. I'm glad. I'm glad I'm not the only one who thinks that. Now it's not sending any progress. It really feels like the time that's being passed is actually the or the time that's being sent to progress is actually like the buffer time. Yeah, Joe just said, is it a delay in reporting latency back and forth? I don't know. Maybe. So it's not playing. Let's go ahead and play. So it reports progress right away there. And I think even at that point it's wrong. Let's double check here. So let's allow prog with data. So it's sending progress for 102 seconds, 102 seconds, 102 seconds. And so this is after I've set the current time to 96 seconds. Prog here is 120 seconds, so this is already 10 seconds later. And this is 120 seconds as well, so it is not playing. So it should be at 120 seconds. It's not really 120 seconds here. That's, what is that? It should be more or less there. So let's do prog. So right away, then it's at 122, it thinks. I'm gonna stop now. 144. So it thinks 6 seconds has passed. That sounds about right. 126 seconds. 2.10 minutes. But we're not even anywhere near that. All right, so now 126 seconds. If I look in the database, that's what's recorded. What I'm expecting now, if everything is right, if I hard reload this page, it should still come back to 144 seconds. It should say setting to 126 seconds. Just saying that out loud makes me feel like I'm not all here. But 126 seconds is what I believe it will say when I reload. So, yep, 126 seconds. So it's getting that information from the database like we expected. But now it has jumped to 2 minutes and 7 seconds. So when I set 126, it actually sets it to 132. 138. Now it's 138. 144. So it's jumped up again, and I haven't even done anything at this point. And then 150. And if we look here, we're at 138 because we stopped recording at here. So the last one we received was 138, 133. Yep. So we stopped reporting even though it decided to send more time for some reason. Not that it even matters, because when I reload now, it'll say setting current time to 133, but it's actually going to set it to like 144 or something. So setting time to 138, and it actually is setting to 144. So that's 6 seconds, well, yeah, 6 seconds off. Oh, I wonder if... I wonder if there's something weird going on with my timeouts, even though they aren't impacting this at all. I'm going to remove any reference to them here. So playing. Let's see if it at least looks normal with some of the other stuff. Actually, I'm going to double check here. Make sure there aren't other instances. All right. If this just turns out to be some weird thing with my timeouts, then I'll be kind of annoyed, but at least I'll have it figured out. All right, so current time to 150. Still 6 seconds ahead. First progress. Last progress is 174. And since we're not doing anything to limit the progress that comes in after we've actually pressed stopped from being reported, we marked at 174. So we haven't even seen it at that point, which is just ridiculous. Go back to 0. Right at 0, it's still 24 seconds. So, and because of all of this, I don't even have a good way to do this right. So let's do seconds 0, percent 0. This should start me at 0. And we can see what the first progress comes in as. All right, so since I didn't have any time, since they were 0, this other logic kicked in that said only set the current time if seconds is greater than 0. So this will show right away whether or not playing from 0 when the first progress comes in and what the value is. There we go. So it's already sent 4 progresses. The UI says 0, 0. First progress is 6. And second is 12. This almost acts like these aren't seconds. But these are. All right, so let's see what happens next. 24, yay. Not right, but at least it's the same number, and still the same number. Now it's up to 30. 36, 42, 48, 54, 60. If this turns out to be a web component, they are dead to me. Because I'll have wasted far too many hours on weird, obscure bugs that apparently I don't try to do that then. Come on. Yes, delete the record I didn't create because they have null values where there couldn't be null values. I think this is going to turn into a very entertaining episode. Must pass either a valid element or a valid ID. Okay. I remember when I said this was a good idea. It was like 2 hours ago. Loaded. Cool. Let's play. 1 second in. Let's see. No, 6 seconds. You're wrong, Beau. All right. Last thing I'm going to try, and then I'm going to go to bed and think about what I've done. Let's get rid of this. Let's use the current production API. Where's Vimeo? Just give me the thing. The basics. Yeah, give me the basics. PI player. Let's just do this. Zero, zero. Ah, come on. Not again. Okay. Start. Loaded. Awesome. Click. Pause. Same problem. "18 seconds. Player events. Events for playback controls. Progress. What's time update? What? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. Wow. So that was a wasted 60 minutes. The progress event. the output looks identical, apparently, to something called time update. Because progress and time update are not very clearly named names, but obviously I picked the wrong one. Because time update, this is fun. All right, so we can get this back. Can do all of this. There we go, there we go. Sweet. So this is a case where I'm probably going to want to do some throttling, because if this really does update every 250 milliseconds, this could be problematic. So let's see here. I'm going to do player.pause right away, because I'm guessing I'm not going to run into any of the other crap nonsense I've run into here. All right, so it's decided the time is 24 seconds. Close. And we're at what? Come back. 35. And we're at 35. And we're at 35. Joy. All right, so not going to do anything with this. Let's not even bother with any of that. We don't care about ready. We know none of this is an issue. Check out that JavaScript. Nice. Let's skip to 39 seconds. It's going to play automatically, or 39 minutes rather, and sure, we'll call that good. Go to 39 minutes again. All right, so this is doing the thing where it's not actually seeking to the right time. But I'm not going to worry. Well, no, that's the whole point of this, I guess. So it is setting the current time. And that time it did it. I don't want to do a set timeout. I'll just leave this like this for now. If it becomes a regular issue for people, I'll fix it then. Live sessions, bootstrapping Astrocasts. Just works for non-logged in users. Awesome. Cool. All right, I think I'm going to call this a win. Let me get this API to report %. That's good. we can do some fun, interesting visual things with this eventually, which I think will be good. I think I'd like to throttle this sooner rather than later. Throttling and debouncing in JavaScript. Demo. I don't want debounce, I want throttle. Goal. All right, let's see how this works. So set timeout. So we want to do, what's the limit? No, I don't think I can use that code, unfortunately. All right, I'm just gonna have to do that another time. So I'm just gonna add it for now. We'll add that for the next thing. Maybe we'll do throttle. All right, I'm going to call it a night. Thanks for joining. Thanks for sticking around tonight, Joe. Hope you're enjoying your gaming. And I will be back again next week. Thanks.